You are not becoming who you want to be. You are becoming what you repeatedly think. Every thought you tolerate, every word you whisper to yourself, every identity you rehearse in silence is shaping you, whether you notice it or not. Most people believe their thoughts are harmless. They are not. Thoughts are commands, and the mind does not argue with the voice that speaks most often. By the time people realize what they've become, the process is already complete. Most people believe change begins with action. They're wrong. Action is only the final symptom. Change begins earlier. In the language you use internally, in the identity you repeat when no one is watching, in the version of yourself you quietly accept as normal. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your self-talk. This is not motivation. This is mental mechanics. And today, you're going to see how people unknowingly train themselves into weakness and how disciplined thinkers reverse the process. Welcome to NexusMind. Thought is not passive, it is training. Most people believe thoughts are harmless, private, temporary, meaningless. They think what happens in their head stays in their head. That belief is why most people never change. Every thought you repeat is not commentary, it is instruction. Your mind is not a place where ideas visit. It is a system that adapts to commands. When you repeatedly think, "I'm not ready," your nervous system learns hesitation. When you repeat, "I'm behind," your posture lowers, your energy contracts, your decisions shrink. Not consciously, biologically. The mind does not argue with repetition, it obeys it. This is what most people never realize is happening. They assume identity comes from results, but results come from behavior, and behavior comes from self-instruction. Long before you act weak, you think weak. Long before you quit, you rehearse quitting internally. And long before you succeed, you practice authority in silence. Thought is rehearsal. Every internal sentence is a drill. This is why two people can face the same pressure and produce completely different outcomes. One collapses, the other stabilizes. Not because one is more talented, but because one has been training their internal language for years. Most people talk to themselves like critics. They negotiate with fear. They explain delays. They soften standards. And then they wonder why discipline feels impossible. But discipline doesn't begin with action. It begins with how you frame reality internally. What you tolerate mentally, you eventually tolerate behaviorally. If your inner voice allows excuses, your outer life will reflect compromise. If your inner voice demands structure, your body will follow. This is why thinking positive is irrelevant. Positive thinking is cosmetic. Directed thinking is structural. The mind doesn't need encouragement. It needs orders, clear, repeated, non-negotiable. That's how identity is installed. You don't wake up confident one day. You condition certainty by refusing to rehearse doubt. You don't suddenly become disciplined. You stop mentally entertaining escape routes. And the shift is quiet. Nothing dramatic happens at first. But slowly, your reactions change. Your posture changes. Your decisions shorten. You stop asking how you feel and start acting from what you've decided. That's when people say, something about you feels different. They think it's confidence. It's not. It's internal alignment. Your thoughts stopped undermining you and started reinforcing direction. This is why the title matters. You become what you think, not because thoughts are magical, but because they are training commands repeated daily. Most people don't realize this is happening. That's why they drift. You don't have to, because once you understand this, you stop letting your mind speak freely. You discipline it, and disciplined thought creates disciplined action, whether anyone sees it or not. That's where the transformation actually starts. Your inner voice is writing your future. Most people believe the voice in their head is harmless, just noise, just commentary. They don't realize it's instructional. That voice is not describing your life, it is directing it. Every sentence you repeat internally becomes a command your body prepares to obey. When you say, "I'll try," your system prepares for hesitation. When you say, "I'm not built for this," your nervous system braces for retreat. And when you say, "I'll start tomorrow," your behavior learns delay as a default. The mind does not differentiate between truth and repetition. It differentiates between consistent signals and inconsistent ones. Whatever signal you send most often becomes your operating system. This is why most people stay trapped in patterns they claim to hate. They speak limitation fluently. They say things like, "That's just how I am." "I've always struggled with this." "I'm not confident like that." Those sentences feel honest, but they are self-installing restraints. Your brain hears them as identity declarations, and identity dictates behavior. This is the part most people don't realize is happening. They believe the voice in their head reflects who they are. In reality, it creates who they become. That's why two people can have the same goals and wildly different outcomes. One speaks discipline internally, the other negotiates comfort. One gives clear orders, the other asks permission, and the body responds accordingly. You don't need louder motivation, you need cleaner language. Language that does not debate with weakness. Language that does not entertain excuses. Language that does not ask how you feel before you act. This isn't arrogance, it's command clarity. High performers don't believe in themselves emotionally. They instruct themselves precisely. They don't say, "I hope I show up today." They say, "I move regardless." They don't say, "What if I fail?" They say, "I execute and adapt." That difference sounds small, but it compounds daily. Your inner voice becomes the environment your behavior grows in. If the environment is unstable, discipline withers. If the environment is firm, action becomes inevitable. This is why changing circumstances rarely works. People change jobs, cities, routines, but keep the same internal language, and the same outcomes reappear, because the source was never external. It was how they spoke to themselves under pressure. Once you understand this, something shifts. You stop narrating your struggle. You stop explaining your fear. You start issuing standards, not affirmations, not hype. Standards, what you will do, what you will not tolerate, what you will execute regardless of mood. And when that language becomes consistent, behavior follows. Not instantly, but reliably. This is how futures are written quietly, one internal sentence at a time. Most people never notice this process happening. That's why their life feels accidental. Yours doesn't have to. Because once you control the voice, you control the direction. And direction, not intensity, is what changes everything. Identity is practiced before it is earned. Most people believe identity comes after success. They think confidence appears once results arrive. They think authority is granted when proof exists. That belief keeps them waiting. Identity does not emerge at the finish line. It is installed during repetition. You do not become disciplined and then act accordingly. You act with discipline long enough that it becomes who you are. This is where most people misunderstand the process. They hear, "Fake it till you make it," and assume it means pretending, performing, posturing for others. That's not what's happening. What you are actually doing is training your nervous system to accept a higher standard of behavior. Every time you show up when you don't feel ready, speak clearly while doubting yourself, hold posture under pressure, you are not lying to yourself. You are teaching yourself. The body learns identity through action, not intention. It doesn't care how you feel. It cares what you do consistently. That is why waiting to feel confident never works. Feelings follow behavior, not the other way around. Confidence is not discovered, it is conditioned. Most people stay trapped because they keep asking, "Do I feel like the person I want to be yet?" That question guarantees delay. The disciplined thinker asks a different question. What would that person do in this moment? Then they do it, even imperfectly. This is not about impressing anyone. No audience is required for identity formation. In fact, identity builds faster in private. When you act according to a standard without recognition, you remove performance pressure. There is no applause to chase, no image to protect, only repetition. And repetition is how identity hardens. This is why people who truly change often appear sudden to outsiders. They weren't waiting, they were practicing posture, practicing language, practicing restraint, practicing follow-through. By the time results show up, the behavior is already automatic, and automatic behavior is identity. This is also why inconsistency feels painful. When your actions don't match the person you're trying to become, internal friction appears. That friction is not failure, it's feedback. It's the signal that the new identity is being installed, but the old habits are still resisting. Most people retreat at that stage. They call it not being authentic. In truth, they just didn't stay long enough for alignment to lock in. Identity change always feels artificial before it feels natural. Every new standard feels forced at first, but force applied repeatedly becomes structure, and structure becomes stability. This is why mentally strong people don't wait for proof. They move as if alignment already exists and allow time to catch up. They understand something most people never grasp. You don't rise into a new identity. You behave your way into it, quietly, daily, without permission. And once identity is installed, confidence stops being something you chase. It becomes something you carry. Your body learns before your mind believes. Most people try to think their way into confidence. They wait for certainty. They wait for belief. They wait for the feeling that says, "Now I'm ready." That feeling rarely comes. The body does not wait for belief. It responds to signal, posture, movement, breathing, eye contact. These are not expressions of confidence. They are instructions. Your nervous system reads them instantly. When you slouch, avoid eye contact, or move hesitantly, your body interprets threat. It releases caution. It tightens muscles. It lowers energy. Not because you decided to feel small, but because you signaled vulnerability. This is why mentally strong people start with the physical. They don't wait to feel powerful. They move with intention first. Shoulders back, eyes forward, steps deliberate, voice steady. These are not cosmetic changes. They are biological cues. The body cannot distinguish between acted confidence and earned confidence. It only registers consistency. When you hold posture under pressure repeatedly, your nervous system adapts. Heart rate stabilizes, breathing deepens, reaction time sharpens, and slowly, belief follows. This is why presence is felt before it is understood. People sense alignment before they can explain it. Not because you're louder, but because your body is no longer broadcasting uncertainty. This also explains why people who think positively still collapse under pressure. Their thoughts say one thing, their body signals another. Misalignment creates instability. Mentally strong people close that gap. They align body and intention even when emotion lags behind. They sit still when others fidget. They speak calmly when tension rises. They don't rush movements when watched. This creates gravity, not dominance, gravity. People adjust around it instinctively. And here's the key most people miss. The body reinforces belief faster than thought ever will. You can repeat affirmations for years and still feel uncertain, but hold yourself to a physical standard for weeks, and your mind begins to comply. This is why action works when thinking doesn't. The body is the shortest path to identity change. Every time you move with discipline despite discomfort, you send one clear message inward. We don't collapse under pressure. That message compounds. Eventually, it becomes expectation, and expectation becomes identity. This is why mentally strong people look calm, not because life is easier, but because their body has been trained not to panic. They didn't wait to feel confident. They moved as if alignment already existed, and alignment followed. That's the mechanism. Not motivation, not emotion, signal, adaptation, belief. Once you understand that, you stop waiting. You start moving with purpose, and let your nervous system learn who you are becoming. Repetition is what makes thought permanent. Most people think a thought once and expect their life to change. It doesn't work like that. The mind is not convinced by insight. It is convinced by repetition. Whatever you tell yourself once is a suggestion. Whatever you tell yourself daily becomes a command. This is where most people fail without realizing it. They say, "I believe in myself." Then they hesitate, they delay, they avoid discomfort, and their mind learns a different lesson. We don't act when it's hard. The brain does not listen to words, it listens to patterns. Repetition is how patterns are formed. Every action you repeat reinforces an identity. Every hesitation you repeat reinforces a limit. This is why people stay stuck even after motivation hits. Motivation is temporary. Repetition is structural. Mentally strong people understand this instinctively. They don't rely on hype. They rely on daily proof. They show up when they don't feel like it. They act when there's no emotional reward. They repeat standards even when results lag behind. That repetition sends a message deeper than belief. This is who we are now, and the mind adjusts accordingly. Neural pathways strengthen, resistance lowers, execution becomes automatic. This is how confidence is built without thinking about confidence. Confidence is simply the mind trusting its own patterns. If you repeat discipline, the mind expects follow-through. If you repeat avoidance, the mind prepares excuses. This is why self-talk without action feels hollow. Words without repetition create tension. Repetition without words creates certainty. Most people want change without identity cost. They want results without rewiring behavior. But identity only changes when repetition makes the old self unsustainable. At first, Repetition feels forced, unnatural, heavy. That's normal. You are interrupting an old loop. But over time, something shifts. The resistance weakens, the friction drops, the action becomes familiar. Eventually, it becomes default. That's when thought stops arguing with action. That's when the internal voice changes tone. Not louder, not dramatic, calmer, more certain, because the mind no longer needs to debate. It has evidence. This is why mentally strong people don't explain themselves. Their repetition has already answered every doubt. They don't ask, "Can I do this?" They've already done it, again and again. This chapter is the turning point most people never reach. They quit too early. They change too slowly. They stop before repetition locks in. But if you stay long enough, if you repeat when it's boring, uncomfortable, unrewarded, your mind will surrender. And once the mind surrenders, identity changes permanently. That's when thinking stops being effort. You don't try to think strong, you simply are. Because repetition has made it unavoidable. Your environment is training your mind without permission. Most people believe their thoughts are private. They're not. Your environment is constantly editing them. What you see daily, what you hear repeatedly, what you tolerate around you. None of it is neutral. The mind absorbs patterns faster than it absorbs ideas. This is why two people with equal potential end up in completely different places. Not because one is smarter, but because one is immersed in reinforcement and the other is surrounded by contradiction. Look closely at your environment. Does it reward discipline or distraction? Does it normalize effort or excuses? Does it reinforce growth or stagnation? Because whatever feels normal eventually feels justified. Mentally strong people are ruthless about this. They don't argue with environments that weaken them. They change exposure. They limit noise. They reduce access. They remove friction that feeds old habits. Not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. You cannot think your way out of an environment that is training you in the opposite direction. This is why willpower fails. Willpower is a temporary override. Environment is a constant influence. The brain conserves energy by aligning with what's familiar. If chaos is familiar, calm feels unsafe. If distraction is familiar, focus feels uncomfortable. If mediocrity is familiar, discipline feels extreme. Mentally strong people flip that script. They make discipline familiar. They make focus normal. They make calm predictable. Not through force, through design. They choose spaces that support who they're becoming. They choose inputs that sharpen instead of dull. They choose routines that remove decision fatigue. This is why their progress looks effortless from the outside. It's not effortlessness, it's alignment. Their environment works with their identity, not against it. This also explains why changing your thoughts without changing surroundings rarely lasts. You leave a motivational moment inspired, then return to the same cues, the same habits, the same triggers. The old identity reasserts itself. Mentally strong people expect this, so they remove the triggers before they remove the belief. They clean the room, they restructure the schedule, they cut access to distractions, they limit contact that reinforces the old self. This isn't extreme, it's intelligent, because the mind follows what it sees repeatedly. And when your environment reflects the person you're becoming, your thoughts stop fighting. They adapt. This chapter carries a hard truth. If you don't choose your environment deliberately, it will choose your identity for you. But when you take control of it, even in small ways, you stop relying on motivation, you start relying on structure, and structure outlasts emotion every time. This is how mentally strong people think differently without constantly trying to. They live inside a system that trains the mind in the right direction, quietly, relentlessly. The mind obeys. What you repeatedly prove here is the final truth most people never realize while it's happening. Your mind does not follow your hopes, it follows your evidence. Every day, your actions are teaching your brain what kind of person you are, not what you want to be, not what you say you are, what you consistently prove. Most people think they are betrayed by their mind. They say, "I know what I should do, but I can't make myself do it." The reality is harsher. The mind is not resisting them. It is obeying the identity they've demonstrated. If you hesitate repeatedly, the mind learns caution. If you quit under pressure, the mind learns escape. If you delay when things get uncomfortable, the mind learns avoidance. And once the mind learns a pattern, it protects it. This is why change feels hard. You are not fighting laziness. You are fighting learned identity. Mentally strong people understand this early. They don't argue with their inner voice. They retrain it. They know the mind changes only after it sees new proof. So they act differently before belief catches up. They move when doubt is present. They hold standards when excuses appear. They follow through when quitting feels justified. Each time they do this, they send one message inward. This is who we are now. That message doesn't need motivation. It doesn't need confidence. It only needs repetition. And slowly, something shifts. The voice that once questioned becomes quieter. The resistance weakens. Action becomes easier. Not because life changed, but because the mind updated its expectations. This is why mentally strong people look calm. Their mind is no longer debating every decision. It trusts the pattern. This is the final stage of transformation. Thought stops leading. Action leads, and thought follows. You stop needing hype. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop asking, "Can I?" Because the mind already knows the answer. You've shown it again and again and again. This is how identity locks in. Not through emotion, not through affirmation, not through belief alone, but through proof. And once the mind accepts a new identity, it will protect it with the same intensity it once protected the old one. That's when change becomes permanent. You don't become what you think once. You become what you prove repeatedly. And most people never realize it's happening until they're already living inside the result. Conclusion: you were being trained the entire time. Nothing about this happened suddenly. You didn't wake up one day and decide who you are. You were shaped, quietly, repeatedly, invisibly. Every thought you entertained, every action you repeated, every signal you sent your body, every environment you tolerated, all of it was training. Most people think identity is something they choose once. It isn't. Identity is what remains after repetition removes alternatives. That's why most people don't notice change while it's happening. They're inside it. They think they're just getting through the day, but the mind is recording patterns. They think they're just reacting, but the nervous system is learning expectations. They think they're just surviving, but survival becomes a standard, and eventually that standard feels normal. This is why the title is dangerous. You become what you think, and most people don't realize it's happening. Not because they're careless, because the process is subtle. Thought becomes action, action becomes repetition, repetition becomes identity, and identity defends itself. But here's the part that changes everything. The same mechanism that trapped you can free you. The mind does not resist change, it resists inconsistency. When you align thought, signal, action, repetition, and environment, the mind stops fighting. It adapts. That's what mentally strong people understand. They don't try to overpower the mind. They educate it. They show it daily who they are becoming. Not with emotion, not with hype, with proof. And slowly, quietly, the old identity loosens its grip. The inner voice changes tone. The hesitation fades. The resistance weakens. Until one day you realize you're no longer trying to think differently. You simply do. That's when the work stops feeling heavy. That's when discipline feels natural. That's when calm replaces chaos. Not because life got easier, but because your mind stopped sabotaging you. This is NexusMind, where identity is built, not imagined. Where thought becomes structure. Where quiet repetition creates unshakable strength. You were becoming something the whole time. Now you know how to choose what.